Toyota has been talking smack about electric cars, but that has never been a secret. What apparently has been a secret is that all this time they've been doing the opposite and quietly developing the electric car technology that can very well rival Tesla and the rest of the industry. We'll see if Forbes contributor Tom Moloughney is impressed when we discussed this and a couple of other big electric news from Toyota. Plus, in other electric car news, Tesla may be using lasers in one of the coolest ways. And we go over all of the electric concepts and unveilings that just happened at the International Motor Show in Munich. All of this is coming up next. Welcome to E4 Electric. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. Toyota has been the official punching bag here at E4 Electric, as they not only refuse to produce electric cars, but have been consistently lobbying against them. That included Toyota executives testifying in front of the US Senate earlier this year to slow down the current administration's plans of electric vehicle adoption. But it looks like I may have to go shopping for a new punching bag just in time for Christmas, and I'm looking at you, Honda, because Toyota may just be turning things around. This week, Toyota has made a few really big announcements indicating that while they were kicking and screaming about the electrification, they have been quietly plotting to do the opposite and maybe even taking on the industry leader, Tesla itself. The big news this week is that we found out that Toyota has been quietly testing what appears to be industry's first solid-state battery prototype inside its LQ concept, which design I'm assuming was inspired by a handheld vacuum cleaner, and it looks like Toyota has been testing this vehicle for over a year. Toyota said it will sell electric vehicles with solid-state batteries by 2025, though at first those will be limited to hybrids, Toyota's bread and butter. And the soup, and the dessert, and the fortune cookies, they love hybrids. This could be an indication that Toyota may just be the front runner for the solid-state technology after all, even ahead of the QuantumScape, a startup heavily invested by the Volkswagen Group, which has made some big steps forward this year. But that's not it. More details have been unveiled in this Toyota's media briefing on batteries and carbon neutrality, though it's hard to listen to how great they are at technology while watching this presentation that apparently was put together by a high schooler using the 1995 version of the PowerPoint. I will tell you another big news that was unveiled at the briefing, but before that, a quick reminder that this video was brought to you by the Volkswagen ID.4 EV, which I am now a proud owner of. Some cool features I enjoy are gesture and haptic controls, as well as wireless app connect with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay for compatible phones. Plus, it also comes with 3 years of unlimited charging at Electrify America DC fast chargers. See if you love the ID.4 as much as I do by exploring the link in the description of this video. So during that media briefing, Toyota has announced that they're going to be investing almost $14 billion into the EV battery production through 2030 and planning on producing 2 million fully electric cars per year by 2030. Though that number does include the hydrogen fuel cell cars as well. So I'm assuming like 17 of those 2 million will be the Mirais. But Toyota is going to need some friends for that, so they have announced that they have partnered up with battery cell makers like Panasonic, CATL, BYD, and a few others. But that's not it either. That's right, there's more from Toyota on electric cars, because they said they're setting a target for its very first real upcoming electric vehicle, BZ4X, due out next year, and future electric models at 90% of initial battery capacity and range to be maintained over 10 years of usage. Now, that's pretty impressive actually, because in comparison, Tesla and most other EVs here in the United States have a guarantee of only 70% battery retention over just 8 years, and that is per US federal regulation. Now, it's not clear if there's actually a mileage limit on that 10-year 90% retention guarantee, which usually is a better indication of the battery usage. Lastly, there is a rumor floating around that Toyota and Apple are in secret talks to partner up on developing the highly anticipated Apple car. Now, I don't know why Apple wants to partner up with like the only auto manufacturer that is not making any electric cars right now. I mean, that very first car that they're going to make together without any experience of making electric cars may be very average and get outdated very quickly, and people would have to like upgrade to a newer version. Oh. Now, it all sounds very exciting, but as always, to curb my excitement with some reality, I turn to the Forbes contributor and the host of the State of Charge YouTube channel, Tom Moloughney. All right, Tom, so I know both of us have been pretty critical of Toyota over the last couple of years, if not more. Now it looks like good news. Is it?
I'm not buying it, Alex, personally. I'd need to see more from Toyota before I really believe they've turned a corner.
All right, well, let's break it down. First, let's talk about the solid-state battery test. It looks to me like this is the first electric vehicle that's even been tested with the solid-state batteries. Isn't that a good sign?
I think it's great that they're advancing solid-state batteries. There's a lot of people doing a lot of good things with solid-state that maybe we don't know about. They're not out there saying, like Toyota's trumpeting, oh, look at what we're doing with solid-state. So is it good? Yes, it's good. I hope it's a fantastic battery. I hope it works. I even hope they're first to market with solid state. That's great. We need to get solid state batteries in production.
And, you know, they are putting it in hybrids first, unfortunately. But what about the huge investment of, almost $14 billion into the batteries?
So that's a lot of money. But when you put it in context, you know, BMW just committed to buying $24 billion worth of batteries in the next 2 years. Back in, I think it was 2017 or 2018, Volkswagen committed to $50 billion over the course of 5 years for battery and battery investment and technology. So when you put it in context with some of the other large automakers, it's really it's not that much money. And they're talking about, you know, almost $14 billion between now and 2030. So it's still a slow walk, Alex.
And it does look like the target is 2030 for them, with about 2 million all-electric cars per year in production. That includes hydrogen fuel cell. We don't know which portion of that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, 2 million cars is a lot of cars. I guess if they were selling them now, Toyota sells about 10 million cars a year. All right. So what they're saying is 8 years from now, they're hoping that they're selling 20% of their product line is electric. So, you know, while 2 million sounds like a lot, Alex, it really isn't a lot when you look at it that way, especially when most of the other automakers are saying, look, by the end of this decade, we're going to be at 50% or more electric vehicles. Some automakers are pledging to be 100% electric. So, you know, there's no real good signs coming out of Toyota yet. I'm afraid they're still slow walking their electrification.
What does Toyota have to do to convince you and me and everybody else that they're actually serious?
Start making and selling electric cars, lots of them. You know, don't tell us, oh yeah, in 8 years, we're going to be selling a lot of these cars and we're going to have the best battery technology, but we're going to put it in our plug-in hybrids first. We're not going to put that in our fully electric cars, even though it's the best battery technology that's out there. We'll put it in our hybrids. And, you know, a few years later, we'll be at 20% of our product portfolio will be electric vehicles. You know, I tell you, they said it all in the marketing campaign they had in the Toyota of UK. It was a year or two ago. Their whole marketing campaign was, we choose not to plug in. And I don't think that they've really changed that mantra just yet.
All right. Now, I've also noticed that you got a different background over there. So you're either went to shop at IKEA and overdid it a little bit, or you might be in an interesting location. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'm over here in Munich. I was here for the Munich Auto Show, IAA. I was here as a guest of BMW's. We did the first drive event for the BMW iX, which is their all-electric SUV, and also the BMW i4, which is their 4 Series Grand Coupe that's fully electric. So I was in the first wave, the first people to drive these 2 electric cars here in Munich. Unfortunately, my driving impressions are embargoed until October, so I can't really talk about what it was to drive the cars. I could talk about other things. I thought they looked nice, better than they do in pictures. If you can look past that front kidney grille, which, you know, I'm not a huge fan of, but I don't want to really focus on it. I think they have a couple of good vehicles there that I think people are going to like.
As always, don't forget to subscribe to Tom's channel so you can find out his experience with the BMW iX and i4 back there in Munich. I put a link to it in the description of this video. Now, before we move on to the next story, let's check out the grumpy comment of the week, and here it is. In the future, writes this gentleman, could you please stand a little closer to your razor while shaving? The Russian hobo look does not match well with the discussion of the new electric vehicle and technologies. First, what a politely phrased insult. Secondly, can you please stand a little closer to your razor while shaving? Yeah, I don't have my barbering license, but I'm pretty sure that's not how razors work. And lastly, say what you want about Russian hobos, but you have to admit, they did beat all of us, the electric car owners, to the carbon neutral housing, the sustainable transportation, and the unbridled love for the unlimited power. Moving on from my shaving habits back to electric cars, Elon Musk promises us to make our lives more like a sci-fi movie with trips to Mars, self-driving cars, and robots. But one thing that was missing from his script all this time was lasers. Until now. Tesla was granted a patent last week to use lasers as windshield wipers. I am not kidding, the patent is for removing debris off of glass surfaces. Now, I have to say that this is a much better approach to cleaning windows than Tesla employed in the past, which was throwing metal balls at them. Whether or not it comes to reality, we'll have to wait and see, but kudos to Tesla for once again thinking big. Let's move on to the International Motor Show that took place in Munich, Germany this week with plenty of electric vehicle concept and prototype unveilings. Let's go over all of them speed dating style. Let's start with the BMW iVision circular concept. I am assuming this concept is a vision of what a BMW i3 will look like when it grows up, gets a job, and lets itself go a little. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to know that BMW will no longer feature what I call is the monkey butt front, but I think that they can use a new designer. By the way, circular refers to the circle of life for the components, which are 100% recyclable. And judging by the look of the upholstery, the interior was recycled from the free couch that my neighbor had outside of his house for a few weeks. Now we know where it went. Munich. Let's move on to the Volkswagen ID Life crossover. The mini SUV is expected to launch in Europe in 2025 and maybe even in the United States at some point later. It will have a little over 200 EPA equivalent miles since we have to convert from the European metrics. The starting price will be around $25,000, but to bring the cost down, Volkswagen decided not to put a central screen into the dashboard like most cars. So, much like your neighbor who locked himself out of his apartment, this car will have to borrow your phone, which will act like the central screen where you will control most of the car features. Hey, you wanted a $25,000 electric car? Well, you got it. Just be grateful that it's got its own motor, because if they had to cut that price down any further, you'd have to bring your own horse. Let's move on to the smart concept number one. It looks like the concept here is that making tiny little cars that people have to wear like skinny jeans is not that smart after all. This subcompact electric crossover is Smart's largest offering to date. It will be made in China and is expected to go on sale there next year, and then shortly after that it will be also available in Europe. Alright, let's move on to Renault Megane E-Tech Electric. This is a subcompact crossover SUV. Sales are expected to start in Europe in just a few months. Now, what's weird about the promotional video for this car is that it has a California theme song, and it looks like it was shot in California, you know, the place where it will definitely not be available. It's like shooting a Peloton commercial in the middle of McDonald's. Now, I know California is the McDonald's in my analogy, but honestly, with all of the fires and the drought here, much like McDonald's, California is not good for my health either. But the biggest winner of the electric car unveilings at the Motor Show was definitely the Mercedes-Benz, with half a dozen of electric car presentations. We'll start with the Mercedes-Benz EQE, an electric equivalent of the E-Class, the 90 kilowatt-hour battery and over 300 EPA equivalent mile range. The EQE is expected to launch in the middle of the next year. The recently unveiled luxury electric EQS now has a couple of sisters. One is its performance version in AMG badged EQS 53 4MATIC Plus, with 658 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. And the super-duper luxury version, the Maybach EQS Concept, with over 300 EPA equivalent mile range. Not many more details or a release date yet. Then there was the Mercedes-Benz EQG Concept. It is what an electrified G-Class will look like. Not the best example of thinking outside of the box, but I guess when your main design concept is the box, you have fewer choices. Not many specs revealed here yet either, except for the plenty of 90-degree angles. And last but not least, the EQB, the pure electric version of the GLB, with over 200 miles of EPA equivalent range. Kudos to Mercedes for stepping up its electrification game. Now let's see those babies on the road already. Don't forget to tune in for my Tuesday live streams, which this time is actually on Monday. My Tuesday live stream is on Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific. We'll just have a subscriber hangout, as we always do. I have to travel on Tuesday to visit Volkswagen's Chattanooga factory, where my ID4 baby brothers and sisters will be born when Volkswagen is making the ID4s here in the United States next year. All right, looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.